stopping chatting. Because
Oh, bro, it's coming. Oh, crap. Wait, don't, wait.
And they're all the way around here.
Real-life encounters are rarely cinematic. They are raw, chaotic, and happen in the blink of an eye. Whether it's a scientist scaling an ice wall with a shattered body, or a monster tornado leveling a home in seconds, these moments prove how fast control can vanish. If you were pushed to your absolute limit, would you find a way out, or just freeze? On March 5th, 2017, a disturbing piece of footage was uploaded to YouTube by a user named Dark John Paul. In the video, Dr. John All, a climate scientist, is traveling across an icefall in the remote wilderness of Himal in Nepal when the surface beneath him suddenly collapses, and what follows becomes every climber's worst nightmare.
I'm pretty well. I fell through that hole. Thankfully, I didn't keep falling that way. I got trapped here instead. With this ledge, my arm I can't use. I'm gonna have to somehow climb out that way. I can't go that way at all. I gotta stop at this ledge. Oh. How the f do I get back up there though? Oh. My right arm is seizing up. I can't use it anymore. I'm gonna try and stem above that, get through that, try and hit that way. Hopefully I can escape.
He falls onto a narrow ledge, barely preventing himself from dropping further into the darkness below. His right arm is unusable. He believes his ribs are broken, and possibly even internal bleeding. His breathing is heavy, his voice weak, drifting in and out, and there is no one coming. No rope, no team, no backup, just him, a camera and a vertical wall of ice above him in the middle.
Doesn't look easy. That's my hole I fell through. Doesn't look easy, but that's all I can do. I don't have a right arm. Oh, so I can't get out this way. It's too soft. I can't talk because I have a broken rib, I think. Or my chest is filling with blood or something. So I fell all the way down there. I've crawled out through here. Can't get out that way. So I'm gonna have to crawl through there. Try and climb up out through this thing. Oh, I hurt bad. But I gotta get out. I can't use my right arm. Oh, I'm so close. It's been so fucking easy. I had to work in your right arm. Climbed all the way. Over, up, over. So close. I just gotta go a little further. I can do it.
What follows is slow, painful, and methodical. He starts climbing with one hand. Each movement is careful, and you can hear the strain in every word. He works himself through it, planning each move out loud, testing holds, reaching dead ends, adjusting, trying again. The ice is soft and unstable, every grip feels temporary, and somehow he keeps moving through the unforgiving wilderness. He makes it out, but watching it back every second feels like it could have been the moment it all ended. One slip, one failed, hold one surge of pain too much, and there would have been no one there to help. Sometimes moments like this show how quickly control can vanish and how fragile each step really is, but it also makes you wonder if staying calm is the only thing that keeps everything from falling apart. So if you were in that position, would you keep going or stop right there? In March 2022, two young men set out into the Appalachian Mountains, hoping for a quiet night of camping. They picked a remote spot near an abandoned train bridge, expecting little more than wind and occasional wildlife. But not long after setting up camp, they began hearing unfamiliar sounds coming from the darkness.
It's hard to tell with the wind, but it almost sounded like Something definitely made some kind of noises over there. So we're gonna check it out. Occasionally snowmobilers come through here. But other than that, it's pretty remote. This is an abandoned train bridge. Okay. I almost kind of don't want to go back over there. My brother said he heard some weird things. But that's pretty weird. I've never heard a grizzly bear sound like that before. Whew. You got like chills going down your spine?
Yup.
I hope the camera got that.
Oh, baby.
Okay, I don't even want to go. I don't even want to. What the hell was that?
At first they blamed the wind or a distant animal, until the noises grew sharper and closer, unlike anything they had heard before. Driven by curiosity, they moved toward the source, only to realize the sound came from something far more aggressive than they expected.
Go. That's pretty loud. That's close.
Okay, see maybe.
I don't. Okay.
Holy.
Oh, go. It's coming. Oh, crap. Wait. Don't. Wait. Go. Wait. Holy, I think I saw it. Go. 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 Go.
As the creature moved in, they chose to run rather than rely on the small knives they carried. Their camping trip ended abruptly as they escaped the forest unharmed. Some viewers later suggested the footage might have been staged, but the raw panic in their reaction suggests otherwise. Whatever the truth, it's an encounter neither of them will forget. She stepped into a quiet, empty cornfield while the dogs behind her reacted violently. And almost instantly, she realized she had made a decision she couldn't take back. In August 2025, YouTuber D from D's Dark Adventure was invited to a farm by owners who had been dealing with something they couldn't explain, figures running across their fields and disappearing into the tree-lined voices coming from the cornfield at night. They said it had started 2 years earlier when they moved in, but now that the corn had grown tall, whatever was out there had begun getting closer to the house.
So she saw my other cornfield video and she said it's not as violent because they've not made it this far, but this is the first year it's had corn. She's had issues with her dogs doing this. She can hear things running. She hears voices. But the previous years, it was just beans. And same thing, she could see figures. But now that the cornfield's up, they're getting really close to the property.
The moment Dee walked toward the field, their dogs went ballistic, barking and clawing at the ground, refusing to follow. She pushed forward anyway, and almost immediately, things started happening. Strange howls from deeper than the dogs could reach, movement in the stalks. Something dark watching from behind the corn.
I'm hearing a howling. That's not those dogs. It's coming from that way. Those dogs can't go that far. They're on a restraint thing. Airplane. It is, but it's up high. Oh my God.
She called out, trying to make her presence known, but got no response, just more rustling, more shapes slipping between the rows.
Please understand. Dude, what is that? I don't know what the hell I'm looking at right now, guys. Hello. They're looking at me from the side of the tree, dude. Where'd they go? Yeah, okay, what is that? My name is Dee, and I have been invited I don't know what that is, dude.
Then she heard a voice responding to her from somewhere inside the field.
Hi. Hello? Hi. I just heard a hi.
She kept going, but the deeper she moved, the worse it got. Something large. Lying in the flattened corn tremors, shaking the stalks around her, sounds she had never heard before.
Something was laying here. Something big. It was laying right there. Oh my god. What is that? No, don't listen. I can't. Oh my god. There's a lot of laid down and broken in the middle of this. I don't know if I can get you guys up high enough. Oh, what was that? There's that chitter again. I don't like that blackness like that. It's huge. I can't do this. I'm sorry, guys. I tried. I held out as long as I could. I couldn't even go in there far enough. This is another thing that worries me.
By the end, she was barely holding it together, apologizing to the camera, saying she couldn't go any further. This raises another question. What was responding to her from inside that cornfield? What were those figures the owners kept seeing, and why did everything on that property seem to know she was coming? Sometimes situations like this show how patterns can build over time without a clear source. And it makes you wonder if the feeling of being watched comes before the real danger. So if you were there, would you keep going or turn back? The next video comes from Bigfoot RC, a UK-based overland and wilderness exploration channel, focused on remote forest camping, wildlife tracking, and cryptid or big cat investigations. It was recorded on April 21st, 2024 in Fernworthy Forest, United Kingdom.
Hi Trail Drillers, Overland Dave here. It's about 12:15, 12:15, but just been woken up by a roar and a scream actually.
Overland Dave and the Trail Traders team set up camp deep in the forest around 2 miles from an area known for big cat sightings. The surroundings are dark and quiet, with only a small fire breaking the silence. Earlier that day, they had seen a young deer with its mother, a subtle sign that predators might already be nearby.
No, there's evidence. We found that young deer dead this morning. You know, they need to hunt once a week for a big deer or whatever.
Without warning, he is woken by a roar, followed by a scream. Both sounds are close, far too close to ignore. He stays inside the tent, listening, aware that something large is moving somewhere in the darkness.
I think we'll go for a tree knock before we settle down. Just see if we hear anything. Wait and see if we got a reply back.
Later during the night, Dave tries to get a response using tree knocks. He checks the ground for tracks, claw marks, and any signs of disturbance. Nothing is seen clearly, but the tension remains, with the constant feeling that something could still be close. There's never a clear visual, but the clues build together. A roar in the night, a fresh kill, and signs of strength in the area all point in the same direction. Something large is moving through the forest, unseen but active, changing how the night feels. Some viewers thought it could be a large predator moving through the area, while others believed it might be something less clear. What do you think was out there? The encounter comes from The Journey is the Destination, a paranormal exploration channel focused on real-time ghost investigations in remote and unsettling places such as caves and abandoned areas. It is July 7th, 2024 in the United States. The investigator brings his friend Bill into a tight cave system he has only explored once before. They move through narrow, low-ceiling passages, at times crouching just to get through. The cave opens into small chambers filled with dust, uneven ground, and very limited space. As they go deeper, the environment becomes more uncomfortable. He explains that additional tunnels extend beyond where they stand, some dropping further into the system, but they choose not to go deeper due to the risk.
Looks like somebody's been doing some seances or rituals in here with all these candles. And they're all the way around here.
While attempting to communicate using a flashlight and a K2 meter, a faint sound breaks the silence. It comes from outside the chamber, subtle but clear enough to stop them. They listen closely, unsure if it is environmental or something moving within the cave.
Could have been brought here. The other one, like I said, I think people have died falling in it. I've gotten responses that have suggested that. And then also, there's a spot on the wall where I have gotten, like, when they say that there's a portal there.
They try to get a response, asking questions and waiting, but nothing follows. The cave remains quiet. If anything is present, it does not respond. The investigation produces very little activity, with only brief unexplained sounds interrupting long periods of silence, leaving more questions than answers. As they begin to leave, the situation changes. A sudden storm arrives, and heavy rain starts flooding the area, making the terrain slippery and difficult to move through. They retreat to their vehicles soaked and struggling through worsening conditions. In the end, the experience becomes a reminder that in places like this, the greatest danger is not always inside. Some viewers felt the sounds could be natural, while others believed something might have been moving just out of sight. What do you think they heard down there? The next unsettling video comes from Mandog Wild, a UK-based outdoor adventure and wild camping channel focused on real exploration survival challenges and remote wilderness experiences with their dogs. It is March 8th, 2025 in remote mountain valleys in the United Kingdom. The team moves carefully across uneven, tick-covered terrain. As daylight begins to fade, they stop often to check on the dogs, stay hydrated, and scan their surroundings. The valleys feel enclosed beneath an overcast sky, and visibility slowly begins to drop. As they continue, bones and scattered debris start appearing along the ground, small details that begin to shift the mood. The deeper they go, the more the area feels unusual.
I'm in someone's camp. They're fucking Yeti. I'm gonna walk this way. You look. Hello? Anyone there?
As they explore further, it becomes clear the disturbance is not limited to one spot. The activity spreads beyond the campsite, suggesting the area has been used or disturbed more than it first seemed.
Stopping chirping. Because when Yeti comes up to me, sits down, it's her saying, let's go. It's time to leave. It's time to leave.
Then the situation changes. One of the dogs, DC, goes missing. This is unusual as she normally stays close. The timing makes it worse with darkness approaching and the terrain becoming harder to move through.
Yeti would have found them. So, that there's a fire, but surely an abandoned tent.
The team begins to lose their sense of direction while moving around the damaged campsite. The same landmarks appear again and again. The torn tent and fire remain fixed points, but everything else feels confusing. As visibility drops, they rely on their other dog Yeti, following his instincts to guide them back through the valley. Gradually, they make their way towards safer ground. This moment is defined by what was left behind a recently used campsite abandoned without explanation, adding to the unease. Some viewers thought it may have been a campsite left in a hurry, while others felt something more unusual had taken place. What do you think happened there before they arrived? Electricity is extremely dangerous. Even a small mistake near a live wire can cause a serious accident in seconds. This situation shows just how quickly things can turn critical. On January 30th, 2026, a Reddit user uploaded a video of an incident that quickly began drawing attention across the internet. The footage had originally been recorded on December 12th, 2025. In the video, a Filipino man can be seen standing on the roof of a building sweeping away sand and dirt, while carefully avoiding several exposed electrical wires nearby. At first, everything appears calm and controlled, almost routine, as if he had done this many times before. Without warning, a small misstep occurs, and the situation changes instantly.
Flashing na lang, ano. Ayos ka! Tangina! Si Ugi! Ito, andito! Uy! Tangina mo! Sa kuryente! Dito! Uy! Punta dito! Tangina! Uy! Tangina! Ugi! Tangina mo! Uy! Ugi! Uy! Ugi! Tangina! Uy!
The man accidentally steps onto one of the electric wires. His legs immediately collapse beneath him, and his body enters a severe shock response. The camera continues recording the entire incident as it unfolds. In the background, one of his friends can be heard urgently calling for help and telling someone nearby to contact local emergency responders. After the video spread online, many Reddit users believe the cameraman likely did not survive because of the extremely high voltage running through those wires. However, the cameraman's Facebook page was later discovered. 2 months after the accident, on February 16th, the victim, now identified as Ogi Mogol, posted a short video showing himself slowly walking while recovering from the incident. He appeared grateful simply to still be alive.
Sabi ni Ogi, Kay, tulog ka na yata. Tulog na yun, sabi ni Ogi. At tanong ko lang kung nakatulog siya.
Hey, pabalik na kami.
Nagbayad ka dapat may ano ka,
Tanga?
screenshot mo.
Pabalik na ako. Ay.
Dapat ganyan ka lagi.
Tapos si, tapos si Tito Ogi, sumbi na.
In his post, he explained that the rehabilitation process would take a long time because his body was still weak. He even compared the recovery process to being like a small child, learning how to walk again. Sometimes survival depends on timing, help arriving nearby, or simply a moment of luck. Do you think moments like this are pure chance or something harder to explain? Storms in the wilderness can appear without warning, affecting hikers, travelers, and even quiet camping encounters within seconds. One case involving storm chaser Brandon Ivy shows just how powerful these moments can become. Brandon Ivy is known for documenting severe weather from extremely close distances, often capturing tornado behavior from inside specialized intercept vehicles. On May 29, 2013, he uploaded a full recording of one of his most intense chases and approach into a violent wedge tornado over northern Kansas that had formed just 2 days earlier. The event began with a TIV-2, his armored tornado intercept vehicle rolling toward a massive wedge tornado with very low visibility. The windshield vibrated from the strong inflow, while wind and debris rushed across the road ahead. As the vehicle moved closer, the exterior microphones began detecting changes in wind behavior. The inflow strengthened, pulling sharply across the hood. Sheets of rain streaked diagonally, while loose debris struck the metal siding of the TIV-2. When the tornado finally reached them, everything changed instantly.
Ears are popping.
The windows darkened as dust and debris surrounded the vehicle. Outside, a constant roar filled the air metal, striking metal, rushing wind, and the deep rumble of the tornado. The TIV-2 was built for moments like this, and now it was being tested. The vehicle rocked back and forth as the wind shifted, showing just how powerful the storm had become. Even with its massive weight, visibility dropped nearly to zero, and each second felt uncertain. Pressure changes made the rumbling grow louder while debris continued striking the vehicle. Still, the team remained steady, relying on the TIV-2's heavy weight and anchoring system to keep it grounded. The tornado passed directly over them, with the vehicle absorbing repeated impacts from flying debris. As the wind slowly eased, the roar faded into a steady wind. When the dust-cleared debris covered the ground, trees were stripped bare, and the tornado moved away across the open fields. The TIV-2 had held through the encounter, leaving a clear reminder of how violent a storm can be. Preparation and calm decision sometimes make the difference. It makes you wonder how many real camping encounters in the wild end safely simply because someone was prepared at the right time. Storms in the wild don't just change the landscape or interrupt camping trips and outdoor travel. They can threaten the lives of the people who are there. When a powerful storm passes, it often leaves behind destroyed homes, lost lives, and painful memories no one ever expected to face. On April 9th, 2015, Clem Schultz was at his home in Fairdale, Illinois, with his wife Geraldine, often called Jerry. She asked him to come into the kitchen and look outside. When he looked through the window, he saw a massive tornado forming in the distance. At first, it did not appear to be heading toward them, and he believed it might simply pass by without hitting their home. Jerry stayed in the kitchen while Clem ran upstairs to grab several lanterns. From the upstairs window, he decided to record the storm, assuming it would move past their neighborhood without causing damage. What he captured, however, was far more terrifying than expected. The footage shows a massive black monster-like tornado moving directly toward them, a scene both frightening and unforgettable. There is an important fact about tornadoes: if one appears to be standing still, it is actually moving straight toward you. By the time Clem realized how close it truly was, it was already too late. He later told the Daily Herald that he didn't have enough time to return downstairs to the kitchen where his wife was. Going into the cellar, which was barely the size of a furnace, would not have helped either. The rest of the recording captures the tornado making direct impact, striking their home with full force. The video suddenly goes black and stops. Against all odds, Clem somehow survived. He later explained to the newspaper that he had been carried along with debris from the collapsing chimney and lost his grip on the phone. At some point, he became tangled in a bedsheet and was eventually buried beneath rubble. A neighbor came to his rescue, digging him out and carefully placing him on one of the remaining beams of the house. The neighbor warned him not to look down. When Clem asked why he was given the devastating truth, his wife was beneath him and had not survived. A photograph of the couple that had been lost during the storm was later discovered 35 miles away in the town of Harvard, carried there by the tornado. The picture, taken around 1980 for a church directory, shows Clem standing beside his wife. Geraldine Schultz had feared their dog Missy may have shared the same fate, but thankfully the dog was later found by the family after an extensive search. Today, Clem finds comfort in his white shepherd and refuses to let anyone near her. Stories like this show how powerful storms can be and how quickly they can change everything around people. It makes you wonder how many lives are changed forever each time a storm like this passes through. That's it for tonight. Which moment creep? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story, share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.